The world of Warcraft is calling, once again. Step into the story, follow our hosts, and let every sentence guide you deeper into Azeroth as you gain a little more power in English.
Listen along and you'll naturally pick up these expressions. Fall apart means to lose control emotionally or to stop working well. Take shape means to slowly become clear or real. Firsthand means learned or experienced directly, not from other people. Talk to a brick wall means to talk to someone who refuses to listen or understand. Beyond saving means too damaged or too far gone to be fixed. Rule the roost means to be the person or force in control. In your element means in a situation where you feel natural, strong, and comfortable. Purge means to remove something harmful or unwanted completely. Villain means an evil or harmful character in a story. Gnash means to grind or bite your teeth together, usually in anger or pain. Ooze means to slowly flow out, usually in a thick or unpleasant way. The following are special terms from the World of Warcraft universe. You don't need to memorize them, but understanding what they mean will help you enjoy today's episode. Aenar, a member of the Pantheon, also called the Life Binder. She represents life and strongly believes the Titans should protect living things whenever possible. Azeroth, the main world of Warcraft. In this early history, Azeroth is also a sleeping Titan world soul hidden deep inside the planet. World soul. The sleeping spirit of a Titan inside a planet. If it grows and awakens, it can become a full Titan. The fifth element, spirit. In Warcraft lore, spirit helps bring balance to the elements. On early Azeroth, the powerful world soul drew in much of this force, leaving the elements unstable. 4 elemental lords, the 4 great rulers of Azeroth's early elemental forces: Alakir the Wind Lord, Ragnaros the Fire Lord, Therazane the Stone Mother, and Neptulon the Tide Hunter. The Old Gods, huge void-created beings sent across the universe to corrupt sleeping Titan world souls. On Azeroth, they built the Black Empire and tried to reach Azeroth's world soul. Nraki, also known as the Faceless Ones. They are intelligent servants of the Old Gods and often act as commanders or taskmasters. Akir, strong insect-like servants of the Old Gods. They served as builders, soldiers, and laborers for the Black Empire. Y'Shaarj, the most powerful and wicked of the Old Gods on Azeroth. The greatest center of the Black Empire was built around him. Okay, let's begin today's adventure.
Hey Leora, welcome back.
Hey Torn, good to be back.
So, last episode you left us in a very dark place. Sargeras split an entire planet in half, killed a sleeping Titan, and walked away. And that was the end.
That was the end, yes.
You can't just do that.
And yet I did. But today we answer that question. We find out what happens when Sargeras returns to the Pantheon and tells them what he's done.
Finally.
And then we leave Sargeras behind for a while.
Wait, really?
Really, because while Sargeras was falling apart, something else was quietly taking shape in another corner of the universe. Something that will matter more than almost anything else in this entire story.
All right, let's go.
After splitting the world, Sargeras went straight back to the Pantheon. He brought Agrimar to his side and stood before all the other Titans.
He didn't try to hide it.
No, he told them everything. The Black World, the Old Gods, the Nathrazim, the Void Lord's plan, and what he had done to stop it.
How did they react?
They were stunned. But they were not only shocked by the danger, they were horrified by Sargeras' choice. They were angry. They felt he had acted rashly. If he had only called for help, they argued, they could have purged the corruption from the world soul instead of destroying it.
So they were arguing from hope, and he was arguing from fear.
Yes, and Sargeras could not make them see otherwise. The other Titans, apart from Agrimar, had never faced the Void firsthand. They could not truly understand what Sargeras had witnessed.
Sargeras must have felt like he was talking to a brick wall.
Oh, right. And then Sargeras made it worse. He came to them with an even darker proposal.
What did he propose?
He believed that existence itself might already be beyond saving. If the old gods had corrupted one world soul, there could be others. Maybe it was already too late. His solution:
What?
burn it all, destroy all of creation, then start over.
He wanted to destroy everything.
In his mind, even a dead universe was better than one controlled by the void. He believed that life had grown once before. It could grow again.
That's not a plan. That's despair with a sword.
That is exactly what it was. Even Agrimar, his closest companion, stood against him. Aenar, the Lifebinder, reminded Sargeras of the Pantheon's deepest promise, to protect living things whenever possible. Nothing could be so bad as to justify ending everything.
And Sargeras still believed he was right.
He did. And that gap between what he knew and what the others refused to accept broke something inside him. He felt betrayed. He felt alone. Overcome with despair, he stormed away from the Pantheon.
Just left?
He decided that if they wouldn't help him fight the Void's corruption, he would do it himself. That was the last time the Titans of the Pantheon would ever see him as one of their own.
He went from being their greatest protector to walking away forever.
That's what makes it a tragedy, not just a story about a villain. He didn't become what he became out of hatred. He became it out of fear, out of heartbreak.
Right.
Now, we move somewhere new.
Where?
The Pantheon kept going. Without Sargeras, they continued their mission, searching the cosmos for sleeping world souls, shaping worlds, bringing order. Long ages passed, and during one of those quiet stretches of time, something extraordinary happened.
Tell me.
In an isolated corner of the Great Dark, a corner the Pantheon had not yet reached, a new world began to form, and deep inside it, at its very core, a Titan spirit stirred to life.
A world soul.
Not just any world soul, a spirit more powerful than any the Pantheon had ever encountered. Mighty, noble, full of extraordinary potential.
Does it have a name?
One day, it would be known as Azeroth.
Azeroth. As in the world of Warcraft. Our world.
Yes, for Warcraft players, that name is home. But at the beginning, it was not the world we know.
No kingdoms, no heroes, no taverns with suspiciously good music.
Not yet. In those early ages, Azeroth was wild, young, violent, and its surface belonged to the elements.
Fire, earth, air, and water.
Yes. Now, as Azeroth was forming, elemental spirits roamed across her surface. Wild forces of nature, growing stronger with each passing age. But here's the problem.
Already a problem.
Already a problem. Azeroth's world soul was so vast and powerful that it had drawn in most of the fifth element, spirit, the force that creates balance between all things.
And
Without it, the elemental spirits descended into total chaos. 4 elemental lords rose to power, and they ruled over a world in constant, violent war.
Who are they?
Let me introduce them, because they matter a lot later. First, Alakir the Windlord.
The air guy.
The air guy. But don't underestimate him. Alakir was cunning. He would send spies into his enemies' ranks, stir up distrust, and get the other elemental lords fighting each other. Then, once they were already weakened, he'd unleash the full fury of his storms.
So he never played fair.
Never. Then there was Ragnaros the Fire Lord.
Oh, everyone knows Ragnaros.
Yes, in the early days, he was everything that name suggests. Brash, aggressive, all rage and no strategy. He didn't scheme like Alakir. He just erupted, literally. Volcanoes would burst through the ground wherever he went. He wanted to boil the seas, melt the mountains, and fill the sky with fire and ash.
A walking disaster.
The other elementals despised him for it because his attacks were so reckless that no one was safe, not even his own side.
The kind of teammate who's almost worse than having an enemy.
Exactly. Then there was Therazane, the Stone Mother, Earth.
Most patient one.
Very patient. Therazane didn't charge in. She raised mountain ranges to block her enemies, made them wear themselves down against her walls, and only when they were exhausted would she open giant chasms in the earth and swallow their armies whole.
Slow, brutal, effective.
Very. And finally, Neptulon the Tidehunter. Water, the strategic one. He never fell for Alakir's tricks or wasted his forces on pointless attacks. He waited, he watched, and then he would divide his enemies and crush them beneath tidal waves.
So for ages, these four just fought each other. Back and forth, endlessly.
For untold millennia. But here's the thing. To the elementals, victory was not even the main point.
What was?
The fight itself. Chaos was their natural state. They did not look at the burning skies and broken lands and think, this is terrible. To them, it was beautiful.
Like they were in their element.
Exactly.
They ruled the roost, and they loved the chaos.
Yes, they absolutely ruled the roost. And chaos was their natural home.
And then?
And then something fell from the sky.
The old gods.
Yes, a group of old gods came hurtling down from the great dark and slammed into Azeroth's surface. They embedded themselves deep into the earth at different locations across the world, and from that moment, everything changed.
What did they look like?
Picture mountains, but alive, covered in hundreds of gnashing mouths and black eyes. Their bodies were so enormous they towered over the land, and they pulsed with something wrong, something deeply, fundamentally wrong. Wherever their shadows fell, despair spread through the air. Like hope itself could not survive in their presence.
That is genuinely terrifying.
And they weren't just sitting there. Tendrils wormed out from their bodies, burrowing into the ground, reaching deeper and deeper toward the sleeping heart of Azeroth.
The world soul.
Yes, and their bodies oozed organic matter that gave birth to two entirely new races. The first were the Naraki, the faceless ones, cunning, intelligent, built to command. The second were the Akir, insect-like creatures of incredible resilience and strength, used as builders, soldiers, the muscle of the operation.
So the old gods came with their own civilization.
More than a civilization, the Naraki directed the Akir to build massive citadels and temple cities around their masters. The greatest of these was built around the most powerful old god, Yasharaj. And this growing network of darkness spread across the land and became known as the Black Empire.
Yasharaj. Even the name sounds ancient and wrong.
It does. And later, Warcraft players would connect Yasharaj with the Shah of Pandaria, those dark forces born from negative emotions. But for now, what matters is simple. Yasharaj was the most powerful and wicked of the old gods.
And the Black Empire was growing around him.
Yes. Around the Black Empire's territory, the land turned black and lifeless for miles in every direction. A kind of permanent twilight settled over the world.
So what did the elemental lords do? They were already here. They owned this world.
And they were not about to share it. For the very first time in Azeroth's history, the four elemental lords set aside their hatred of each other and worked together.
Wait. Alakir and Ragnaros on the same side.
I know. Alakir's cyclones merged with Ragnaros's fire, creating monstrous spirals of flame that tore across the land. Therazane raised stone walls to trap the Black Empire's armies. Neptulon followed up with tidal waves that crushed everything between rock and sea.
Did it work?
For a while, it might have looked like Azeroth could push the nightmare back.
But I'm guessing it did not last.
No. No matter how many Inraki and Apir the elementals destroyed, more crawled out from the old god's flesh, like endless insects from a dark hive.
So the elementals were winning battles, but losing the war.
Exactly. The elementals fought with everything they had, but one by one, they fell. The elemental lords, those ancient, unstoppable forces who had lorded over Azeroth since her earliest age,
What happened to them?
they were enslaved. All 4 of them, Alakir, Ragnaros, Therazane, Neptulon, broken and bound under the will of the old gods.
The elemental lords. Enslaved.
Without them, nothing remained to resist the Black Empire. Azeroth was suffering before any mortal race ever had a chance to be born.
And the world soul is still down there. Still sleeping. Was it already corrupted?
Not yet. And that is important. The old gods had covered the surface, their tendrils were pushing deeper, their empire was spreading, but Azeroth's spirit had not fallen.
So there was still hope.
Hope, yes. But time was running out.
Where was the Pantheon during all this?
Far away. They still had not found Azeroth. And Sargeras was gone, walking his own darker path, but Agramar continued his lonely work.
That's heartbreaking in its own way. Just waiting for his mentor to come back.
It is. But during his long solitary travels, Agramar felt something.
What did he feel?
Across the great dark, he felt the calm dreams of a sleeping titan. The signal was powerful, peaceful, and full of life. It called to him like a song.
He sensed Azeroth.
He followed the signal, and it led him to a world the Pantheon had never visited, one they had not yet named.
Azeroth.
And what he sensed from a distance filled him with wonder. The spirit inside was unlike anything he had ever encountered, more powerful than any world soul the Pantheon had found. He could feel her dreaming even through all the chaos on the surface.
But when he got close enough to actually see the world,
Horror seized him. Void energy wrapped the entire surface like a layer of diseased skin. The Black Empire rose from the ruined landscape. Old gods, citadels, darkness everywhere.
that is a nightmare scenario.
Yes. But then Agramar sensed the miracle.
She was not corrupted.
Not yet. Azeroth's world soul remained pure. The void had not claimed her.
But it was close.
Too close. Agramar knew it was only a matter of time. If the old gods reached her fully, Azeroth could become the dark titan Sargeras feared.
If Azeroth was really that powerful,
Then a corrupted Azeroth might be the end of everything.
so Agramar had to make a choice.
He did, but unlike Sargeras, he did not raise his blade and destroy the world.
He went back to the Pantheon.
Immediately. He told them everything, a mighty world soul, the old gods, the Black Empire, and a danger that proved Sargeras had been right about the Void Lord's plan.
That must have been a hard truth to hear.
Very hard. Sargeras had been wrong to destroy the corrupted world soul without seeking help, but he had not been wrong about the threat.
So the Pantheon has to act fast.
Agramar urged them to move with all speed before Azeroth was lost forever. And that is where we leave it today.
So, next time, the Pantheon makes their move.
Next time, the Titans act, and the story of Azeroth really begins.
All right, that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next.
And leave us a comment. How much do you know about the old gods? Tell us in the comments.
See you next time.
See ya!